Go for it. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Listen, welcome back to Filmworks Fantastic. Wow, it's been such a long time. And the reason is we had to wait for Adriaan to grow his mustache. No, I'm kidding.
That takes a while.
No, the real reason is it's been absolutely incredible journey with our clients, and we've hit about over 200 productions since January. Look, we're a small team, so we couldn't have done it without our suppliers and freelancers, and we're really, really stoked about it. But this year has been a year of adapting, learning, and changing, but on a daily basis. And the whole theme of AI, you might feel, is quite overwhelming, but it really changed the way that we as filmmakers approached our filmmaking process. And right off the bat, the weirdest thing for me, Adriaan, is that just the changes that we experienced and what we had to adapt to was, for me, a learning curve. Sometimes my brain literally ached because I'm like, how does this tech work?
Yeah.
But I know that on the other side of this, it will be so advantageous to us to actually utilize it. So this is kind of a year wrap up as to the AI that really, really helped us versus the AI that we're excited about using in the future. But we'd love to share it with you. And we believe that these tools that we've used can really help your company. And if you're a freelance filmmaker or editor, it can really help you as well. So the first one that we tested, and I remember this really, really clearly, was Altered AI. Now, Altered AI changes your voice. Now, normally I do the dummy voiceover work in our company, and then we hand over to another voiceover artist to finalize and do the finishing touches. But in this regard, we decided not to tell the client, just as a test.
Just to see how well it really works.
And the client loved it. And the client wanted to ask who's the talent. And I had to admit, it was me, but not me. We used Altered AI to change my voice. And I thought this was only relevant to American accent, British accent. And it wasn't. We could actually remove the accent part and make it a South African accent and keep it to my original voice. But we can also then change my original voice into an American accent. So that my accent is not American. And for that reason, the AI flawlessly convinced Americans that I'm American as well. So that was one of the first ones in engagement that we used to speed up deliverables.
Yes, definitely.
Doing voiceovers in internal and just choosing the voice that we needed. Now, was there any one of the AIs that really changed your life this year?
So the big one for me was text-based editing, and which is in Premiere itself, it saves time firstly, and just for those huge projects where you need to get a few just one-liners, and in previous years we had to go through that and listen and anticipate where these very important pieces of information was hiding in the video. And with text-based editing, obviously you can read a lot faster and then you have to listen, and that just changed our workflow entirely when it comes to highlights videos, podcasts as well, just cutting out all the dead air, because it shows that as well. So that's an entirely new way of editing that me and you, we've talked about it, like imagine the possibilities a few years back. Imagine we could do that.
So run me by what exactly you're talking about. So if you're not aware of text-based editing, what is the process? You pull in your footage, what happens then?
So you can either go into your settings on Premiere Pro and decide whether or not it should automatically transcribe all the audio that you have in your timeline. So what I normally do is I go and select the certain audios that I want to be transcribed, because obviously you don't want your music transcribed. You only want selected audio clips transcribed. From that, you get a panel that has all the text, and it does a great job at identifying text. We work with a lot of African accents, and I was really surprised with how well Adobe kept up with those and
Wow.
could really decipher what was going on and what was being said and the context. Which also it allows you to send these transcripts to clients and have them have their input as well. Saying, okay, I liked what was being said here. Can we keep this? So yeah, and then from there you can actually highlight, let's say there's a piece of text that you don't want in. You can highlight that and delete it from the timeline immediately. Or you can highlight and copy it to a other place in your timeline, which it's groundbreaking and just it empowers you to go through your script, through all the text so much faster, and saves you time, and time is money.
But I love how you refer to the various African accents, and I mean this is not an isolated event. We have globally so many almost versions of English, right?
Yes.
And because we are a South African company, we get to do with these various accents. One of the challenges that we specifically had with Nigerian filming in Nigeria was it's such a vibrant and energetic city, but that also results in a lot of like background noise. And so apart from Adobe needing to transcribe what is being said, we needed to start removing background noise as well and isolate that voice. You only get one chance. The schedules were super tight. And for that reason, the AI that I really loved and basically used every day is Adobe Voice Enhancer.
Yeah, that is an amazing piece of software. I really want to know how they got that working. I feel like it's a black box because previous to this tool, we had to use a bunch of effects in Premiere Pro, tweak it just to get the perfect background noise removal, but still contain the voice and still have a nice crisp voice without it sounding like rubbish.
Yeah, look, it's not perfect. It's sometimes it over compresses the voice and over isolates, and then we normally just bring the original track back at about 30%. But wowzers, I think, and here's my hypothesis on how they did this. I think they made the tool for free at the beginning for a real good reason, because I remember how viral it went on TikTok. Everybody was like, "Oh, you must use this. Look at how the before and after," and they were able to garner like big data. Everybody just threw their crappiest, phone, mobile in there, and this thing had like a massive data set to work from. And only once that data set was worked through, it learned properly, only then I think they were happy to start integrating it into the software that they're rolling out. And for that reason, it's that good. Just because of its rigidity of big data that it received across the world in any accent,
a lot of machine learning went into that.
Correct.
I can imagine, and it's insane how sensitive it is to what the voice actually is and what's background noise. I remember the one project we used it on, there were birds chirping in the background, which we didn't like for that particular project because it was a green screen project. There wouldn't be birds in this office that was in the background. And I was really, really doubtful whether or not Adobe Enhancer is going to be able to remove those little chirps. And you just run it through there, and which is amazing now with the updates, you can decide how much it should enhance.
Correct.
So it's a slider, it's a spectrum. And just removing those chirps flawlessly, but keeping the voice and having it not sound computer generated.
Correct. Well, I mean, that takes me to some of the visual components again.
Yes.
Because staying within the theme of filming in Africa, sometimes we had to get into a place, and the only way that we could really tell the story was to ask the narrator or the person that we filmed for photos of where they come from, old photos of their childhood. Now look, mom and dad isn't taking photos exactly in landscape for one day when you're in a documentary, right? And then all of a sudden we get all these portrait-based photos, and we are filming for 16:9 for broadcast, right? So, Adriaan, that's where you started using something interesting
Yes.
to complement those photos.
I heard about generative fill in Photoshop, and obviously I was very curious to use it. And like you said, getting some of those portrait shots, we all know the drill. Make it big, put it on Gaussian blur, whatever you have to do to make it work for landscape, which it's not ideal. It doesn't sell the photo as much. And so I played with generative fill for these portrait photos, and just asked it to extend the scene for me, make it 16 by 9, and just fill out the photo. I didn't know what to expect, but it literally created a new scene for me, and it just empowers you so much. But it's also scary for me because it's kind of changing history, because we were working with this person's old family photos,
Right.
and now all of a sudden we extended his shoulder that was out of frame, and extended the background, and the AI guessed whether or not there would be a window in the background. Was it plants? And to an extent it's scary, because this can really change how we perceive photos, how we look at photos, because you're not sure was that there originally, but so powerful for us. And even just if you can extend your backgrounds and use it in all type of different transitions and effects, and it's really, it just enables you to be way more creative with the assets that you do have on hand.
And let me just tell you, the guy that actually sent us those photos didn't even know we applied those effects. And we use those. We've got a green screen studio here, and we use those to design our backgrounds for green screen studios as well. And even then, we actually ask the client, do you see the parts that we created and generated via AI, where half is the real thing and the other half is basically AI generated, and they couldn't tell us. They only thought like one small component maybe, but it was the wrong guess. So it just shows you how powerful this engine
No,
is.
you asked me as well, and I could identify one plant that maybe I thought was generated through AI, but then I realized half of the image was was created by AI, and it's just it's so empowering especially for green screen work, to create a backdrop that the world hasn't seen yet, that's not on a photo stock site. It really gives you the power to create something unique.
Yeah. But look, one of the companies that really are changing the game is Runway ML. Now,
Yes.
we've only touched really on some of their products, and we're really keen to start exploring more. But we've had this idea, and we wanted to track a plate, and then we had me overlay, and then I start glitching. And to do that, conventionally, you'll need a mobile green screen, isolate the subject at the front, and then isolate the background. However, in this case, we did 2 takes, and we just used Runway to literally rotoscope me out of the footage.
Yeah.
And it worked perfectly.
No, it was amazing. And once again, this is about quickening your workflow. Being able to upload your footage, remove or rotoscope the subject you want to, and it being perfect, and not having to go into the finer details to fix it and make it look more natural.
Yeah, but just bear in mind, plan this in your shot.
Yes.
Don't try and save your shot. So plan it. Make sure that you have a deep bit rate for the engine to work properly, high pixel density, to have a good isolation of the subject and the background.
Yes.
So these AI tools aren't to save your butt. It really is to complement your work. So start planning your workflow with AI in mind. Don't just diss audio all of a sudden because you've got advanced AI
Yes.
tools to clean it up. Do it in excellence from the get-go. These things are only helping you if something goes wrong. Look, filmmaking is a very dynamic thing.
Yes. It's always changing.
You can never exactly pinpoint. There will always be a deep hum and a deep voice of a bass is always going to be in the same audio spectrum. It's going to be harder, even for AI, to remove if an airplane passes by while you are filming. So just get a clean take out of the gate. But the other thing that helps this podcast is something we started using called Autopod as well.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it might seem simple because it's a program that literally cuts to the person talking. It looks at the audio files and cuts there. But it's revolutionary, I think, in terms of the vast podcast going out in the world right now.
Yes. Podcasting it's massive, and there's no signs of it slowing down.
Yeah.
And generally cutting a podcast can be difficult, can be time consuming. But having something like Autopod, just cut it for you, just containing all the files there for you, so you can go through the podcast, and maybe if it cut too early to a person or too early to your liking, you can still go and change it. And once again, it allows you to bring more creativity into your editing, because it's done for you, and you can now just let's say just spell check the AI and just check whether or not you are happy with how it cut your podcast.
But the last thing that I think changed your life was Adobe Premiere's remix tool.
That is insane. So what it does is the way you can drag out your footage to maybe slow it down, speed it up. It does this with music, but it remixes the music, so you can take your, let's say, 2.5 minute audio or your song, and you can extend it to 10 minutes, and it's seamless. Seamless. You cannot hear the transitions. And just being able to, because it's almost impossible to get a song that's going to be exactly the length
of your video
that you want. And being able to use this workaround in Premiere, which is it speeds everything up so fast. Because in previous years, I remember I did this, but I used Adobe Audition.
Right.
So you had to go from Adobe or from Premiere Pro to Audition.
Right.
And make it longer, save it as a separate file, and then drag it back into Premiere. And now it's just there, done in front of your eyes, and you can even tweak it. So you can decide how many times you want the song to repeat, which segments. So it's really so empowering, especially when it comes to such an important part of your videos, which is audio and sound design. Which also brings me to the one tool I've recently started using is Audioverse's beat detector.
Yeah.
So obviously cutting to the beat of your song is very important and really just makes the video flow better. But identifying those beats are not always my strong suit. I'm not a musician. But having something that identifies all the beats in a song is really amazing. And just once again, I feel like I'm repeating this a lot, but it speeds up your workflow. And when it comes to editing, that's everything. So just having those markers there, knowing I can follow those markers and I will be cutting to the beat.
It feels like Christmas because I'm putting this little wish list together, but there's some AI that we look forward to using, and one of those are Wonder Studio. And what they do is they use your footage that you've already filmed, motion captures the character that you have there, and then you can change that person with an animated character.
That's insane.
I mean, motion capture in itself is a very complex thing, but now it's using footage, not just like data that we had like this whole suit on, and replacing that with an animated character. It's not perfect. It's far from it, but it is becoming something that enables any filmmaker all of a sudden to introduce maybe an alien to your short film, or have something that you couldn't have dreamed of literally a year ago to do. At the moment, they're quite limited in terms of the character access that you can do, the characters that you have, the off-the-shelf characters. But I'm quite sure that in the future you'll be able to add your own character, design your own
Yes.
character, and then export it in their footage.
But that's the thing about AI, which is so extraordinary and so scary at the same time, is that it's improving each day.
Yeah.
All of the tools we've spoken about today is it has improved so much since we started using it.
Yes.
It's never stagnant. So like you said, in the future, the motion capture and the characters that you can use in that motion capture is just gonna keep improving and be very user friendly, definitely.
One of the things that's such a steep learning curve, and that's color grading. It is, some people just have an incredible flair for it. And that's why they do so well by selling LUTs.
Yeah.
So Colourlab AI saw this opportunity and said, listen, upload the footage that you love, and we will change your footage into that same grade. Now, can you imagine that, how powerful that is? And it has it syncs up with both DaVinci, it syncs up with Premiere. So all of a sudden, you have a look on your film that you love.
Yes.
And they just replicate it to your footage. So, and you can have let's say for instance, you have one Canon camera, one Sony camera.
Yeah, you can match it.
Yeah, you can match your cameras all of a sudden.
Which is so crucial.
Mind blowing. But the last wish list, and I think this really resonates to speaking to a global audience. And global meaning way beyond English, right?
Yes.
I mean, and that is a combination of DeepDub AI and Flawless AI. So DeepDub basically uses the voice in your film and changes it to another language.
Wow.
Which is, I mean, that is revolutionary.
No, that is amazing.
It takes your literally the voice recording and changes it into a different language. So no actors required. No, it normally takes about 8 weeks to dub something and reproduce it into your editing. But it makes it in about half an hour.
Wow. And what type of languages do you have access to?
One of the biggest ones that always companies want is Spanish. It's a vast market. And Spanish is one of the biggest. But Flawless IT takes this one step further. It analyzes the lips of your actors, and then it changes the lips to speak that language of your actors as well. So no more just dubbing and it doesn't sync up.
Yes.
Now it actually syncs up the lips and everything.
Wow,
so it
that
looks
is
like
amazing.
it was a Spanish production out of the gate. So can you imagine the commercial purposes for this? All of a sudden you have one shoot for a commercial, and you can change that and replicate that into various languages, to various countries.
No, that is so powerful, and I think someone like Mr. Beast would really benefit out of that, because getting the bigger audience and being able to adapt your videos to different languages, it just gets so much more eyeballs on your content.
Yeah. So last question, right? What's your biggest wish for AI in the new year?
Well, I don't want AI to replace me just yet. But if we could improve, like you said, color grading in terms of that, and just being able to steal the color grade from your favorite director and creating that into a LUT, I would really love that.
So as you can see, AI has already revolutionized just our company, and I'm pretty sure your workflow as well. We look forward to the new tools and the creative ways and application that AI improves our lives. And we look forward to having another chat just here on Filmworks Fantastic.